Beamy. Greater than 19. Summer in New York. Nights loud with trains near Queensboro Plaza. Air thick with city heat. Always thought friendship meant parties, jokes, late-night pizza, not heavy conversations under open skies. Sitting on Noah's rooftop, 20 years old, my best friend, chips and Coke between us. I laughed at his dumb college stories, then noticed him go quiet all of a sudden. "You know why I always drag you up here?" he asked softly, almost nervous. I shrugged, smirking. "'Cause it's pretty? Better view than your living room?" He stared at me longer than usual, like weighing whether to gamble everything. "No, 'cause here you actually look at me instead of hiding behind your phone." My chest tightened, the laugh stuck in my throat, realizing he wasn't joking anymore. I chewed another chip to stall, mind racing, pretending I didn't hear the shift. But the air felt different, heavier, like the city itself leaned in to listen. I kept quiet, acting casual, but inside every thought screamed, "He's just my friend, right?" The silence stretched, his eyes on me, and I forced a half-smile to break tension. Changed the subject fast, asked about classes, though my voice cracked more than I wanted. He answered, but his gaze didn't soften, like the question still sat between us. That night, I replayed it in bed, staring at the ceiling, chips still on my tongue. Did I imagine it? Or did he mean it exactly the way it sounded? The rooftop stopped being just a hangout spot. It became a question I couldn't answer. Would joking it off be safer, or was I supposed to give him a chance? Next day in class, I couldn't focus, his words echoing louder than the professor's voice. I caught myself glancing at my phone, wanting to text him, then locking it instead. Friendship always felt simple until that night. Now every laugh felt charged, every glance heavier. And I hated how much I wanted to know what he really meant. A few days later, we walked across the Brooklyn Bridge, heat rising from concrete under our feet. Tourists bumped into us, cameras flashing, but I felt only the space narrowing between us. Noah leaned against the railing halfway across, the skyline glowing like fire in the distance. "You know I turned down that internship in LA, right?" he said suddenly, voice low. I blinked hard, surprised. "What? That was your dream. You've talked about it forever." He shrugged, looking out over the water, not at me. "Didn't want to leave you here." The words hit harder than the sun overhead, my throat dry, heartbeat drowning out traffic noise. Pride tangled with fear. Was I supposed to be flattered or terrified of what he gave up? I wanted to ask if he regretted it, but my lips refused to move at all. Instead, I leaned on the railing too, eyes fixed on the waves, pretending calm I didn't feel. My stomach twisted knowing his choice tied me into a future I hadn't agreed on. And part of me wondered if I even wanted him to ask for my answer. That night, I lay awake, sheets kicked off, fan buzzing, mind running laps in circles. If he really stayed because of me, did that mean I owed him something now? Every memory of him, laughter, bad jokes, late-night pizza, suddenly felt sharper, weighted differently. I thought about the rooftop, his eyes not leaving mine, how serious he sounded. I hated myself for smiling back, for not shutting it down when I had the chance. But maybe I didn't stop it because I didn't want to, and that scared me. Friendship was supposed to be safe, clear boundaries, not this mix of hope and danger. I pressed my face into the pillow, whispered, "He's just Noah, he's just my friend." But my chest burned, because it didn't feel true anymore, not after Brooklyn Bridge confessions. I wanted to text him, tell him to forget it, erase the moment completely. Yet my hand froze, because a part of me wanted to hear him say it again. And that part kept me awake until sunrise, torn between comfort and something riskier. The next week we ended up back on his rooftop, the air warmer, city buzzing louder. Noah sat closer than usual, knees brushing, our snack bag forgotten between us untouched. For once I couldn't laugh off the silence. It pressed down heavier than train rumbles below. He leaned in, voice low. "Jesse, I can't keep pretending. Are we just friends?" The question snapped everything inside me, heart hammering, breath caught, my mind screaming both yes and no. I smelled his shirt, sun-warmed cotton mixed with faint cologne, the space between us disappearing fast. Instead of pulling away, I froze, lips parting with a shaky smile I couldn't control. Our shoulders touched, and my chest felt like a cage rattling with trapped butterflies. I wanted to answer, but words died on my tongue, leaving only heat in the air. He searched my face, waiting, but I kept quiet, scared of breaking everything too soon. Silence stretched, city lights flickering around us, turning the rooftop into a stage for something unspoken. And for the first time, I realized maybe I wasn't afraid of the answer anymore. After that night, nothing looked the same, even when we didn't mention it out loud. Every time he texted, "Wanna hang?" my chest tightened, like I already knew the subtext. I replayed his words. Are we just friends? In every quiet moment, my brain refusing to stop. Even in class, his voice cut through lectures, more distracting than any subway screech outside. I wanted to ask what he felt exactly, but feared hearing it too clearly. So I kept skirting around it, cracking jokes, hiding the way my hands shook near him. But then he'd laugh, look at me, and I knew he wasn't hiding anything anymore. The danger wasn't in him saying too much, it was in how much I wanted it. I'd lie awake staring at my phone, his name glowing, thumb hovering but never pressing send. One step forward might ruin years of friendship. One step back might crush something new. The rooftop became more than a hangout spot. It was now our secret fault line. And every day, I wondered which one of us would finally set it off. Days later, he showed up outside my building, leaning on his car like a scene. "Brooklyn ice cream?" he asked casually, but his smile carried the same question as the rooftop. I climbed in, pretending it was normal, but my pulse already raced ahead of me. We drove with windows down, city air thick, music low, tension humming louder than lyrics. He bought 2 cones, mint for him, chocolate for me. Like always, no words needed. We sat on a bench near the bridge, lights reflecting off the river, silence louder. Finally he said, "I'm not sorry about LA. I'd stay again if it meant you." I stared at the cone melting in my hand, the sweetness suddenly too heavy to swallow. Pride, guilt, hope, they all tangled, making me dizzy, caught between comfort and something terrifyingly new. I didn't answer, just bumped his shoulder lightly, half joking, half avoiding, my smile shaking. But his eyes didn't waver, steady, patient, like he already knew where this was heading. And the scariest part? I didn't want to run anymore, not completely, not yet. That night, I wrote in my journal, something I hadn't done in months of chaos. "He's changing the rules," I scribbled. Or maybe I am, and I'm just scared. Every rooftop memory replayed in ink, his words echoing as if the page could hold them. I admitted it. Part of me wanted to know what it felt like to say yes. But fear bled through every line. The thought of losing him worse than never trying. How do you risk the one person who feels like home just to test it? My handwriting shook as I confessed to paper what I couldn't to his face. Maybe friendship isn't enough anymore, but I don't know what's next. I closed the notebook, hid it under my bed, like he'd hidden his LA decision. Outside, city lights flickered through the blinds, daring me to choose between silence and truth. And I realized, whether I wanted it or not, the next rooftop talk was coming soon. And this time, I wouldn't be able to dodge it with jokes or chips. A week later, we ended up back on his rooftop, skyline glowing, trains rumbling far below. Noah sat close again, his knee brushing mine, and this time I didn't pull away. He leaned back on his elbows, eyes on the stars barely visible through city haze. "Jess," he said quietly, "you ever think about us as more than this?" The question sat heavy, hanging between us, louder than sirens echoing across the boroughs. I swallowed hard, stalling, pretending to focus on the Coke and sweating in my hand. My voice cracked when I finally answered. "Sometimes. But what if we ruin everything?" He didn't flinch, didn't look away, just whispered, "What if we don't?" My chest felt like it would split. Fear and excitement tangled in the same heartbeat. I wanted to laugh, to dismiss it, but my smile shook instead. For the first time, I didn't hide. My silence told him enough already. And the look in his eyes made me realize I wasn't alone in this confusion. After that, every text, every glance, carried weight we didn't dare name out loud. At parties, friends teased us, saying we acted like an old married couple already. I brushed it off, but inside my stomach twisted, because they weren't completely wrong. Noah didn't press again, but he didn't retreat either. He stayed steady, waiting patiently. I hated how much I noticed him now, the way his laugh lit up whole rooms. The way he remembered small things, my favorite chips, the playlist I swore nobody else liked. Even simple walks through the city felt charged, every step buzzing with unspoken possibilities. At night, I lay in bed, headphones in, replaying his words until sleep finally dragged me under. What if we don't? Echoed like a dare I couldn't ignore, no matter how hard I tried. It wasn't just about him anymore. It was about me admitting what I wanted. And the scariest part wasn't losing him. It was realizing I might want to risk it. For the first time, friendship felt too small for everything I carried in my chest. One humid night, we wandered through Times Square, neon lights reflecting off puddles from afternoon rain. Tourists swarmed, street performers shouted, but all I noticed was Noah's shoulder brushing mine. He cracked jokes about the crowd, but his hand hovered dangerously close to mine. I shoved both hands into my pockets, heart pounding, terrified of what might happen next. He glanced at me sideways, grin softening, like he knew exactly what I was avoiding. "Jess," he said over the noise, "you don't have to be scared with me." I froze, pretending I didn't hear, eyes locked on a giant billboard flashing sneakers. But my chest tightened because I had heard, and it was exactly what I needed. We walked in silence for blocks, words stuck behind my teeth, courage lagging behind my steps. By the time we reached the subway, I still hadn't answered, and guilt chewed me up. Noah didn't push, didn't frown, just nodded like he was giving me time to breathe. And somehow, that patience made me want to answer him more than any pressure would. Back home, lying in bed, I replayed his voice again and again, softer than city noise. I whispered into the dark, "I'm not scared of you. I'm scared of me." Admitting it, even to the ceiling, felt like breaking through a wall I'd built for years. I thought about how safe I felt with him, how easy laughter came, how steady he was. Friendship had always been enough, until it wasn't, until his words shifted the ground under me. The notebook on my desk filled with scribbles, questions like, what if I say yes? I drew rooftop skylines, wrote down fragments of conversations, trying to trap the feelings in ink. But ink didn't quiet the ache, didn't soften the need building louder in my chest. Every page ended the same. I don't want to lose him, but I don't want to lie. I shut the notebook, shoved it away, but the truth still hummed louder than trains outside. And I realized silence was becoming its own kind of answer, one I couldn't keep forever. Sooner or later, I'd have to choose between risking us or watching him slip further away. A week later, we were back on his rooftop, warm wind carrying sounds of sirens below. Noah sat closer than ever, eyes fixed on the skyline like it held the answer. "Jesse," he said finally, voice low, "I don't think I can keep pretending anymore." I turned, pulse quick, waiting, though I already knew where his words were leading. "I need to know if this is just friendship," he whispered, shoulders tense, eyes steady. My throat went dry, city lights blurring, the space between us charged with unspoken tension. He leaned closer, our knees touching, and the scent of his shirt mixed with summer air. I didn't pull away. I didn't laugh. I didn't bury it in jokes this time. Instead, I let silence answer, and in that silence my whole body screamed the truth. His hand brushed mine, hesitant, waiting for me to flinch, but I didn't move. Every second stretched, rooftops spinning slower, my chest rattling like a trapped bird desperate to fly. And for once, I wasn't afraid of what might happen if I didn't run. After that, nothing between us was the same, though we still avoided naming it directly. Every touch lingered, every laugh carried weight, every shared glance asked a question neither of us voiced. Walking through the city, our shoulders brushed, and neither of us stepped away anymore. Friends started noticing, smirking, whispering, something's going on, but we never confirmed or denied. At night, lying awake, I replayed his words, his patience, his hand hovering near mine. I realized I wasn't scared of losing our friendship anymore. I was scared of not trying. The rooftop had turned into a line we crossed without admitting it, without declaring it out loud. And even though my heart raced, it also felt lighter, like finally breathing after holding back. I caught myself smiling at random, not from jokes, but from the memory of that night. Noah didn't push, but he didn't retreat either. He waited, steady, like he always had. And I knew, sooner or later, I'd have to stop hiding and finally answer him. The question wasn't if I felt it. The question was if I'd be brave enough. Another night we sat on the rooftop again, city buzzing below, sky warm above us. Noah didn't speak right away, just handed me a soda, his hand brushing mine. I didn't pull back this time. Instead, I let the touch linger like a choice. He finally said, "Jess, I don't need an answer right now. Just don't run. My chest tightened, not from fear but from the strange relief of being understood. I smiled weakly, whispering, I'm not running, though my voice shook more than I wanted. We leaned against the railing, silence wrapping around us like the city itself paused to listen. His shoulder pressed into mine, steady and warm, grounding me in ways I couldn't explain. I still didn't grab his hand, but I also didn't let go of the moment. The rooftop wasn't just ours anymore. It was the place where everything quietly shifted. And I realized sometimes answers aren't spoken. They're lived in small choices that change everything. That night, I didn't know if it was a beginning or a mistake, only that it was real. Since then I've replayed it endlessly, wondering if silence was enough or if words were needed. Part of me wants to freeze time on that rooftop, safe in uncertainty, unbroken by definitions. But another part aches to step forward, to risk it all just to call it love. Every laugh, every glance, every late-night text now feels like standing at the edge of something. Noah never pushed, never rushed, just stayed close, giving me space to find my answer. And maybe that's what makes it harder. The choice is mine, not his anymore. I don't know if friendship can survive this shift, or if we're already past it. But I know one thing. I didn't run that night, and that means something. The Manhattan lights below will always remind me of that first, almost answer in silence. Whether it's a start or a mistake, it's ours, written into the city like graffiti. If you were me, would you step back into safety, or forward into something unknown? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.